This is Super Yacht News with E. Sisman. Hi, welcome back to the channel. Hope you had a great weekend. We've got a lot of stuff to get on with, so let's do that. So first of all, I wanted to update you on what's happening with Motor Yacht Garcon and Motor Yacht Halo. So they've been heading from Antigua across the Atlantic through the Mediterranean and heading towards Port Said in Egypt. Now, Halo stopped in Oran, in Algeria, Oran, not Iran, in Algeria for fuel, and Garcon carried on straight through. Now, after Halo left Algeria, they had Port Said as a destination. They still do as I film this. Now, Garcon, which shot ahead of Halo because it didn't stop for fuel, had Port Said also as a destination. But before they even changed the destination, you could see a course change. You can see that the vessel started to change course to turn to head up towards Turkey. Now, not long after that, this was yesterday on the 7th of August, not long after that, the vessel did change its destination to Marmaris in Turkey and continued to head towards Turkey. Now, at this point, they're safe, right? They're in Turkey. Turkey has become a safe haven for Russian yachts fleeing sanctions, and Garcon and Halo are both owned by Roman Abramovich, who is sanctioned in the UK and the EU. So the vessel then changed its destination again from Marmaris to a place called Fethiye, I believe it's called. It sounds like a character from Star Wars, but I don't know whether that's the correct pronunciation, by the way. But then as they approached Fethiye, they turned off the AIS. And so that would lead us to believe that that was their final destination, right? However, they then changed course again and headed to Gojek, which is to the northwest of Fethiye. And as you can see on the photograph here, the vessel arrived in Gojek in Turkey not long after. Now in the background there, you can see Motor Yacht Anna. That's the new Motor Yacht Anna, the 110 meter Motor Yacht Anna, and that is broadcasting AIS, and that is currently in Gojek in Turkey. So that confirms that the vessel has arrived there. The sources in that area said they saw tenders going to and from Garcon and Eclipse. So it's clear that the vessel is, well, it's possible the vessel's brought some supplies for Eclipse, which has been sat in Gojek for quite a while now. Now, why are we tracking these vessels? I had some comments, critical comments about why the fact I was tracking private citizens' vessels. Well, the fact is that the vessel, the owner of the vessel, is under UK and EU sanctions, and the vessels were detained in Antigua until a few weeks ago when they suddenly left and were allowed to leave and headed across the Atlantic. So that's the reason why we're tracking these vessels. So I would say anyway that with regards to Motor Yacht Halo, that they're going to follow suit, right? They're currently heading towards Port Said, that's the destination on the AIS, but I'm sure that they're going to do the same thing and change direction once they clear Crete. So we'll follow that anyway, and we'll update you when we know more. All right, so we'll move on to the next story now. If you remember, a couple of months ago, search and rescue vessel, a Spanish search and rescue vessel, crashed into a sailing yacht in Tarragona port and put a big hole in the side of it, and the yacht sank. Now, I've had a lot of people asking me what's happening with that yacht, and to be honest, up until today, there was no update to give you, and that's because the vessel is still sat there in the marina on the bottom, waiting to be recovered. Now, what's happened is, just like if you've ever had your car stolen or crashed or something happened to your car, you go to your insurance company, you inform them what's happened, they come and assess the situation, and then they either write it off or they give you money to fix it. Well, that's the same thing that's happening here. The insurance company that the owner used has assessed the situation. They put out to tender because obviously it's a big operation, to different companies to recover this vessel. And they have finally chosen a company to recover the vessel. Now, what's interesting about this is that in the meantime, while this has been happening, because it has taken a couple of months, the port has been putting pressure on the owner of the sailing yacht to get the vessel moved out of the way. The vessel was smashed to pieces in their port and sank by a Spanish search and rescue vessel, and now they're putting pressure on the owner to get the thing moved out of the way. Some of the companies that were approached, they suggested cutting the vessel into pieces and removing it bit by bit. But the company that has apparently been contracted to move the vessel is going to use big floating bags, and they're going to raise the vessel and move the vessel in one piece. Now, the vessel has been declared a total loss. Now, I don't know if anybody is going to try to repair that vessel and use it again. I mean, the vessel was worth $7 million, or the vessel was being sold for $6.9 million. It was for sale for $6.9 million. And it was about 75,000 euros a week to charter this vessel. It was a charter vessel. So there's value in this vessel, but the insurance has paid out. So I would imagine, though, the insurance will be trying to recover some of that money. So it's possible that someone may buy it. Just depends on the damage to it when it's recovered. On the website, the Spanish website, Diario de Tarragona, this is where some of this information has come from. And the article itself was sent to me by Richard Smith. He's somebody who's been telling me a lot about the situation that's going on in Tarragona. And what it says in the article is that the civil guard closed their investigation on this incident, and they have ruled it an accident. And they said that the vessel, named MV Punta Mayor, a maritime rescue ship, had suffered a mechanical failure and was unable to stop from reversing into the sailing vessel. Now, what's interesting about this is at the time of the accident, a lot of news organizations released a storyline that the vessel had dropped both anchors in an attempt to stop the rescue vessel from reversing into that sailing yacht. But the video footage and eyewitness reports said that that didn't happen at all. Now, I'm not suggesting that it wasn't an accident. I mean, it's in all likelihood it was an accident. These incidents have happened before. There was one quite recent, actually, in Genoa in Italy, where a vessel crashed into the pier and then reversed in the other direction and crashed into the pier on the other side. And that clearly vessel was out of control. But they have ruled it an accident, and they're saying that nobody is to blame for that accident. All right, so we'll move on to the next story now. So we did some articles about Motor Yacht A in Dubai, and we showed you that the vessel had been in Ras Al Khaimah for months, despite the AIS on that yacht being turned off for over 4 months now. And the last known location in AIS is in the Maldives. Now, we tracked the vessel all the way to Ras Al Khaimah, and the vessel has been sat there ever since it was deregistered by the Isle of Man. Deregistered means the vessel lost its flag state. Very recently, the vessel was seen at the World Archipelago in Dubai. I wondered if the vessel had a new flag. We saw the tenders of that vessel broadcasting the AIS and moving around in that area, but the yacht itself is still not broadcasting on an AIS. Now, I had a video from a subscriber sent in to me, but he was so far away we couldn't see what was going on the vessel. However, today I received some photographs of the yacht from yesterday, 7th of August, and the yacht was back in Dubai because it had gone back up to Ras Al Khaimah, and the vessel was back in Dubai at the same location. And you can clearly see here, these photographs were taken at 1600 hours. You can clearly see here that the yacht does not have a flag on it. Now, any time between 8 a.m. and 8 p.m, the flag should be flying from the stern. So you can also see here, this is A2 is one of the tenders of Motor Yacht A, and the last location for that was in was at an anchorage at Ras Al Khaimah. Now the vessel Motor Yacht A went back to Dubai, as I said, but I've not seen any activity from their tenders while it was there. So it's possible that, well, it's possible that they never launched any tenders. But it's unlikely, so it's possible that they've actually turned off their AIS on those tenders now as well. Well, we'll see, time will tell. The fact that the vessel's moving without a flag state is a curious thing, because first of all, if the vessel's got no flag state, the vessel's got no insurance. So to be using a vessel of that value, was probably around $300 million, without insurance is quite precarious, isn't it? Also, the fact that they have no flag state, being given permission to move around in the United Arab Emirates without a flag state is very interesting in itself, assuming they've got permission. Now, why are we tracking this vessel? The vessel is owned by Andrei Melnichenko, who was sanctioned by the UK and by the EU in March of this year. One last vessel we're going to talk about is a Motor Yacht Plus Ultra. Now this vessel is also sat in Panama, and it's actually quite close to where Octopus is sat right now. Now this vessel is owned by Russian Andrei Goncharenko. He's the CEO of Gazprom Invest, subsidiary of Gazprom, which is Russia's largest gas company. Now his vessel's been sat in that location for between 2 and 4 months, hasn't moved. And this is, I think, as a result of the sanctions on all of the Russians. Now, Mr. Goncharenko, as far as I can tell, is not currently under any sanctions, but his vessel's been sat there for a long period of time, and I believe it's on a skeleton crew as well. Now, this goes back to what I was talking about in previous videos, that the effects of the sanctions have also included people who are not under sanctions, because they've reduced the ability for people to transfer money using the SWIFT system, things like that, and that is why the restrictions have affected people who are not necessarily on those sanctions lists. I had a lot of comments recently from people saying, "Oh, trust me, the Russians will know how to move money around and pay for their crew and stuff like that. These sanctions aren't going to stop them." But that's clearly not the case, because these vessels are just sat there with small crews on, like Alfa Nero in Antigua. There are vessels all over the world. Luminosity in Montenegro are just sat there not being used because the owners can't move their money around because they've had a lot of their assets seized as well. And they can't move their money around to get those vessels moving again. So it's not a given that, oh yeah, they'll just find a way to move this money, because that's clearly not happening. So point of interest of Mr. Goncharenko, by the way, is he owns 4 properties in London, which he purchased over a 4-year period with a total value of £250 million, which is about $300 million, including the most expensive property in London, Hanover Lodge, which he purchased in 2012 for £120 million. And that's approximately $145 million. All right, I'm going to leave it there. A longer video than usual, but there was an awful lot of information to get through. If you've got any information about any of these stories or any other stories, please get in touch through the normal methods. You can get us through the About page of YouTube. You can get us on Instagram and on Facebook Messenger. And you can also get us using Threema. Okay, thanks very much for watching, and I'll catch up with you soon. Okay, bye-bye.